Welcome to SuperTalk Outdoors from the Foundation Studio, right here on Biloxi's Back Bay, where we celebrate every single Monday at lunchtime the world-class outdoors of the state of Mississippi, because as you know by now, we are the capital of the outdoors in America. I want to thank you for joining us on the powerful SuperTalk Mississippi Radio Network. What a great network that is, strategically located geographically all over the state of Mississippi. Also, you can watch it on SuperTalk TV, but some of you are watching the show on YouTube or Facebook, not just on SuperTalk TV at C-Spire TV. You're listening on your favorite podcast. With that said, it's November the 27th, 2023. Last week was Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving kicks off some special times here in Mississippi, and we'll talk about those here in just a second. I especially want to thank the title sponsor of SuperTalk Outdoors, the Foundation. Formal name of the foundation is the Foundation for Mississippi Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. They are the only outdoor foundation that directly supports the Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. And now they also support the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources here in coastal Mississippi. And that's a great addition to this organization. By the way, the views on this show are mine, not those of the foundation. As you hear me say every week, when it comes to the outdoors and outdoors issues, you can count on me to say what needs to be said. Listen, it's been a great weekend. We'll get into some of that here in just a second. But before we go any further, let me bring my friend Alex Littlejohn, someone who I've had on the show many, many times. He's been a great partner in this conservation journey. He actually has some really important positions, but he's no longer with the Nature Conservancy. We'll talk more about a new position he has, but mostly we're just going to talk about duck hunting during this conversation. Alex, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing better now that I'm on here with you.
Well, thank you, man. Thank you. You actually do have a new position. You're no longer with the Nature Conservancy. Tell me about your new position.
Yeah, it was tough to leave TNC and took over the conservation director role for Weyerhaeuser and or Weyerhaeuser Company, and oversee conservation on 11.5 million acres across the U.S., 16 states. It's incredible. It's an incredible opportunity, and I'm drinking from the fire hose. It's death by fire hydrant right now. I'm still just over 3 months in.
Well, Alex, first of all, for congratulations. You and I have developed a great relationship over the last several years, and I've always said to you, and I've said on this show, and I've said to all the people that we associate with, that you have, enormous potential. And the fact that you landed in this role at Weyerhaeuser is a real testament to Weyerhaeuser, frankly, that they recognize in you the things that all of us who worked with you saw. And I think it's awesome that you're in that role, because you're going to be able to, 11.5 million acres. That's a lot to say grace over, and I can only imagine what that fire hose looks like, because there's a lot to learn. But you're a great relationship builder. You understand conservation. You have some important roles, especially as it relates to migratory bird conservation. We'll talk about that here in just a second. But I'm just happy for you, my friend. I think this is a great move for you. You did a wonderful job at the Nature Conservancy, and what you learned there, you're going to be able to parlay significantly in this new role. And I wish you the best, and many, many years of wonderful conservation. Wait, let me say it this way: many, many years of wonderful contributions to conservation in this country. Because boy, when you think about Weyerhaeuser, that you can make an impact if you can impact those acres, can't you?
You can, and I really appreciate your kind words. It's been an incredible opportunity, and so far I landed with just a very talented, very skilled, very experienced team. I'm learning more from them than they probably realize. But let's get on to duck hunting. That's the more fun stuff. We'll bore people. Let's just get on to the real stuff.
As I would expect Alex to do, he moves the spotlight away from himself and back to the things that are fun in life. That's the humility that makes him a great leader, I might say. So, yeah, Alex, we had a great time this past weekend. My son Jordan and I were able to go up Thanksgiving afternoon up to the Mississippi Delta, and we did a lot of deer hunting. He and Hunter Creech and Jake Carter went over to a piece of property that Jake and a friend of mine, Terry Wadrop, and Travis Dunn owned, which is adjacent to some land that we lease. And they went on a duck hunt in some flooded timber where the pumps had been on for weeks for good reason. And they expected a woody hunt, and they ended up, had some great flights with gadwall and really a great wood duck hunt as well. But man, I mean, I was actually hunting across the lake or actually a little river from where they were, and it sounded like World War II or III over there. And I knew they were having a good day, and they had a wonderful day. They had a wonderful day. So it's hit or miss. If you had water, there's a chance you had a few ducks. Did you have an experience yourself on opening day?
We did. I've been fortunate the past several years. My family, my dad, my uncle, my cousins, and a gentleman that we adopted into the family that married my first cousin. He's joined in the crew too. But last several years, we've done the opener at Beaver Dam with the Boyds, and that's just been incredible. It's always been incredible. I worked there for several years during college with them. They treated me like family. Mike and Mitzi Boyd took me in like a son, and I mean, they're family to me. But we get to spend the opener every year for the past, I think we're going on 6, maybe 7 years, and it's just incredible. It's a great place to watch the sunrise. It's a historic duck hole made famous by Nash Buckingham, and it's just fun to be with friends and family. And we did well. We had a great hunt, and just another great memory.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about. I've never been there myself, but I've heard a lot about Beaver Dam over the years. But our friend Clay Wagner and his sons go and hunt there every year, and we have several other mutual friends that go there as well. I think I mentioned this to you before, but I just love the name Nash Buckingham. It's not like I'm reading a great fiction of this wonderful, character that's just entertaining everybody and having all these, wonderful, mysterious, journeys. But it's a great name, isn't it?
It's a great name, and Mike said one time that God made Beaver Dam, but Nash made it famous. And I think that's a wise choice of words. But yeah, I would have loved to have met him. He passed away I believe in the 70s, just short of 91 years old, but had a great life, was just an incredible writer, incredible individual just in his own right. But he was a true outdoorsman, true conservationist. And man, he had some stories. And then you had the famous Bo Whoop and his shotgun that got lost and then found again. You can see it at DU's headquarters. They sold it through Julia back in 2009. But just to be wandering through the South End trails, as he described them, it's like walking back in time and seeing some things he saw.
It is. It's incredible, really. After their duck hunt and my friend Mark and I finished our deer hunt, we went over and there's a blind that we moved over that we call it the North Blind. It's on a beautiful cypress lake. And we had positioned it, I think at the time, not fully appreciating that if we don't get a lot of rain and the lake stays, pretty low, it's a duck blind we'll be able to get to with 4-wheelers as opposed to in a boat. And so it's really taken on very, very serious significance. So we went in, it was 5 of us, and we brushed it in. And just the process of brushing it in, cutting the brush down and really, I mean, listen, it's invisible now. It's going to be invisible to a duck, but it's fun to do that stuff. If you had the opportunity to work at Beaver Dam, well that about 5% of the activities involve actual hunting. The rest of it's preparation.
It's absolutely 100% true, and you have to enjoy that. To go duck. I mean, you have to enjoy that. That's such a, some of my fondest memories is sitting out there prior to opening day, putting out decoys by moonlight. And just having that ability is just incredible.
Yeah, I've talked a lot about it, and we've actually started to post a series at the SuperTalk Outdoors Facebook page about This is Hunting, and the postings rarely have anything to do with the actual hunting itself, but it's the activities, the camaraderie, the generation to generation sharing, the storytelling, all the things that make hunting what we know it to be. And for people who don't get hunting, I think it's going to help them understand it better. that it's the experience, it's the life lessons, and boy, you got a lot of that in your life, didn't you?
My dad was very fortunate. My dad started me out real young and drug me through john boats and bean fields and flooded bottoms and mud flats of Sardis Lake and the Delta, and bought some land when I was young and took me along. And the bug caught me quick, but it was the camaraderie and the socialization and the time traveling to from Oxford to Crowder to get there, and just all of that. Like you said earlier, 5% of the hunt, 5% of it's the hunt. Everything else goes into it as well. And
there's no doubt. Hey, listen, when we come back on the other side, we'll continue our conversation with Alex Littlejohn. He works with a Weyerhaeuser now, used to be with the Nature Conservancy. Anyway, we'll continue the conversation after this break. Welcome back to Super Talk Outdoors. I have my friend Alex Littlejohn, and we were chatting about, we've had terrific conversations about how outdoors really impacted him. It changed his life, and it defined where his career was going to be. But, the time that he spent at Nash Buckingham's, sort of famous beaver dam duck hunting location in Tunica is, that's a great way to cut your teeth. That is for sure. But so Alex, you think about the appointment that you got from the Secretary of the Interior to the North American Wetlands Conservation Council, and I'll add, and the Neotropical Migratory Bird Conservation Act Advisory Group. I know that's a mouthful, but when you think about what you're learning about duck migration in North America, and then you take the experience that you had at Beaver Dam and other places that you had the opportunity to hunt as you were growing up, and it's sort of like the ultimate dot connecting going on in your life, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. My time on the council, this past June, I was able to go. We had a meeting in the Prairie Pothole region, and we spent maybe half a day inside, so it was lovely. We got to get out, be with a biologist, and tour the prairie potholes and meet with local landowners that were enrolled in doing private land conservation. And those biologists presented us with the data of the areas that we saw, and they can tell you with a pretty good confidence where ducks in the Mississippi Delta that migrate through come from in the region. And they've got band reports, they've got data, they've got tracking. It was incredible, and it just kind of brought everything to light for me in that, that upstream conservation in the prairie pothole region is yielding downstream success and results for us. And there's things you got to do here for habitat restoration that when they get here, you've got to have suitable habitat. But if you're not putting that money where they're coming from, you're just losing part of the equation there. And it reminded me of a story from Beaver Dam, and that we killed a band one time back when I was working there. And, then at the time you could just plug it in your phone and get the report. You can get the report right there, on the spot. And something about that report triggered a memory in Mike's mind. And we got back to the house, and he went through back through his stack of banding certificates. And he had a band reported 10 years to 12 years prior out of the same blind, harvested by him. That duck was banded in the same region, the same town, and by the same biologist as the duck that we had harvested that morning. And so when you're in the prairie pothole region, that makes sense then, because you're looking at that data and you're realizing these ducks truly have a internal map to the Mississippi Delta, and you cannot deny it from the data and the science, and it's indisputable. And so I don't know, it's just been real enlightening. It was really enlightening to be on the council, to see that, to be with those biologists, be in that region. It's absolutely beautiful. If you're a duck hunter, you have to see it. Just an incredible experience. I
remember I learned when I actually was a past president of the Mississippi Wildlife Federation, and I remember significantly back then we had an adopted pothole program. It was a way to learn about the connection between us and that region. And I mean, it is undeniable, which is actually one of the reasons why I talk about the North American wildlife model all the time, because, whether we're talking about white-tailed deer or ducks or you name it, the thing that has made Mississippi so successful from a conservation point of view is that we adopted the North American wildlife model, and we went about managing the resource in an appropriate way. And I'm not trying to draw you in. I'll just make one quick comment. So when we're talking about the sale and transfer of deer, which I'd strongly oppose, if you were to ever enable that, we're allowing something that is not part of the thing that made us successful, the North American wildlife model. And then some are talking about even breeding ducks and releasing ducks, and there's already some science developing around why that's not a good idea. But at the end of the day, if we would just Mississippi, we became successful because we adopted the North American wildlife model, and we have managed within the guise of that over all these years, ducks being part of that. Yeah. And I think the key to our success as we go forward is continue to adopt that and understand the realities around it. And one of the realities around it is that ducks from Mississippi are migratory, and they come from north of us, and that's just the reality.
Well, it's funny you say it that way. That we toured a piece of property owned and managed by this great couple that farm, and they raise their own cattle, do their own crops, sell their own beef to market. And so we were sitting there, and we came up, and I just walked up and shook the guy's hand and said, "You're my best friend. You didn't even know it." He looked at me kind of funny, I said, "The only difference between me and you is our accents." I said, it's you've got a passion for duck hunting, but your passion here benefits me in the South because, this area, this dot on a map up here has got a direct link to some of the areas that I hold near and dear to my heart. And, that's what duck hunting does. That's what duck blinds do. The great Mike always said that duck blinds are great equalizer. You can put a banker next to a CEO, next to a plumber, next to an electrician, next to a conservationist, and you're all the same in that moment in that duck blind.
Yeah.
And that's what is special about duck hunting to me.
No, I agree completely. It doesn't matter your politics. None of it matters in that moment. Right. What matters is the camaraderie that you're having, and God forbid you miss, because you're going to hear it from the others. If you make a great shot, you're going to hear it from the others.
Well, let me go ahead and tell you that I was the unfortunate one this particular opening day to have the last shot of the morning on the last duck. I was handed one of these sub-gauge 410s with ample amount of ammunition in it to harvest a duck. And wouldn't you know it, about 25 teal buzz in. And in the cypress, I still have not hit that duck that I was aiming at. It was caught on video. So I want to go ahead and lay that out there for everybody that was with me that morning, that I'm not denying that I did miss the duck, and I yielded my gun and last duck to my cousin, who finished it off for us.
Well, listen, man. Well, send me the video. I'd love to have it. But
I will.
Here's the thing. You lost me at timber and teal.
Yeah,
I'm not making that shot either, because that happens really, really quick. You got to be. But look, I've been in a skeet range with you before, and I don't think I ever saw you miss at a skeet range. So you're quite a shot, Alex.
Well, let's just say that those teal made a fool out of me real quick.
They're safe. Was your son with you at the time?
So he wasn't with us on the opener. He goes, my wife's side of the family had Thanksgiving, but he and I will go back, and we'll go back around New Year's with the boys and spend New Year's with them and do duck hunt. But he did get his first deer 2 weekends ago in the youth season. And I tell you, as a dad, I mean, it dang near bring a tear. Man, it's hard to tell you how exciting that is, and how that moment will forever be with you, and you just passing it on. And
I know, man. Gosh, man, we talk about that all the time. But I was with both of my sons when they got their first bucks, and man, just It's a life developing moment. And the other thing is it's glue. It's a glue moment for your son because he wants to experience that again and again. And the more he learns, the more he wants to be involved in that moment. But when thinking about those teal going off, flying off as you were shooting, if he had been with you, it reminds me of the old Cajun joke where he says to his son, "Hey man, you just saw a miracle when I did not brought that duck down. I did bring that duck down. That duck got up and flew away. Yeah." So, yeah, that's for sure. But hey, listen, Alex, it's awesome to have this time of year in Mississippi. I think about Thanksgiving with my family this year was just awesome, and then to be able, my wife kind of gives me the nod at when it's okay to leave. she kind of how many men who are listening to this, or how many sons who are listening to this, or grandsons are listening to this and have experienced that same nod. We've already, dessert's done, and now you're just waiting with anticipation for her to look over toward you and go, okay, it's okay to leave now. So, and then a big long weekend starts, and it's just nothing but fun. And we cook so good this time. Cooking is usually part of the deal, that's for sure. Alex, we'll have to have you back soon, man. I really appreciate you joining me, my friend.
Buddy, I appreciate you, and happy late Thanksgiving. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. Good luck in your new position. You're going to do extremely well.
Thanks, Ricky.
You bet. Hey, when we come back, we're going to talk about some state park activities. We'll see you after this.